Ulmus parvifolia is the lacebark elm. This is actually sometimes called the Chinese elm as well. The lacebark elm is actually a great landscape plant. It really became popular after the American elm kind of died out all over the country from Dutch elm disease. And lacebark elm is very resistant to Dutch elm disease, so it really doesn't have any diseases that bother it. It's a simple alternate leaf. The elm leaves usually have a little bit of a asymmetrical base right down here. You don't see it so well on this. And then the veins are just parallel. It's called a pinnate vein. It's just very parallel with this one central midrib and then teeth along the margin. So alternate simple leaf. It's fairly fast growing. One of the few drawbacks is that the wood is a little bit soft-wooded, so you do get some ice damage occasionally in the Oklahoma ice storms. With this sort of broad-spreading crown, the stems are actually very flexible, so these outer stems sometimes look to be just a little bit weeping. The bark on the lacebark elm is where it gets its name. It's sort of this exfoliating sort of pattern to the bark. It's a little bit variable, so you'll see some that have very light patches and some that have a little bit darker patches, some that get a little smoother, some with a little bit more rough texture, but it always has sort of a range of this. Very small buds, kind of a little bit of a very slender zigzag stem. The orange color is sort of the underbark, and also there are some orange lenticels on the bark, which is very consistent. No matter what the texture is, you have the orange sort of lenticels on the bark. This says it should be planted more. It's actually planted quite a bit. There are several different varieties, sort of different forms, some a little bit more upright, some a little bit more broad spreading. The lacebark elm is one of two elms that we have that actually flower and fruit in the fall. And they're very kind of almost insignificant flowers, but they're in the leaf axils kind of hidden in there. We should see those in October. And then the fruit are these kind of small disc-shaped samaras. They start out green and sometimes will mature to a maroon or a brown. Very viable. So you can start these plants from seed, but the seedlings are a little bit not very consistent on form and habit. So most of the cultivars are produced from cuttings from a plant where there's a known form that can be reproduced.